In digital communication world, ethical journalism sometimes suffer defamation laws. As journalists publish their stories in a field of stiff competition to ensure that their media house become the first outlet of timely news. In some circumstances, news value reduces as journalists have to verify all the information provided. But sometimes individuals who make top stories may hinder journalists to disclose stories that damage their image, hiding behind defamation laws. Let's take this example of a defamation case of The Standard versus George Oraro. In the issue of The Standard of the 17th day of December 2004, the defendant wrote, printed and published an article entitled "Former Ally Denies He Betrayed Ouko," in which it made the following highly defamatory statement and the concerning plaintiff, that is to say, a witness, Mr. Daniel Mburu, claimed in February that Koyo and the former minister lawyer George Oraro made an about turn and effectively led Ouko to his death. Mburu told the parliamentary committee probing Ouko's murder that the minister was expecting Oraro and Koyo to help him to flee to Uganda. Instead, they allegedly arrived in 3 police vehicles at Ouko's home, accompanied by former Nakuru DC John Ankoka and police officers. Issues of The Standard went under the rather sensational headline, "Lawyer Betrayed Ouko to His Killers." The defendant wrote, Dr. Robert Ouko's lawyer and his political aide were yesterday accused of betraying him to his killers after former police officer told an inquiry into Ouko's lawyer's murder that the lawyer and the campaigner handed Dr. Ouko over to his killers. Mukwana said Ouko's confidant lawyer George Oraro and aided James Onyango Koyo made an about turn on the night of February 12, 1990 and effectively led to his brutal death. The publication entitled His Reputation concerning the plaintiff, which injured his reputation, profession, trade, and standings. Let's get to hear from a journalist on practice, defamation in digital communication. As a professional journalist on practice, when publishing a story, you must have principles of journalism in your mind, like accuracy, correctness, and fairness. How do you escape defamation when there is a story and there is no enough evidence, or the professional sources are denied access?
Oh, thank you very much. The first thing is that use attribution. Do not share the story as your own. For example, instead of saying the governor stole funds, you can say something like, according to the members of the county budget committee, it is alleged that the governor misappropriated some funds.
Have you ever brought down a story, a human interest story, because you don't have enough evidence?
Well, thank you. That is a very tricky question, because I understand how much we normally look for views, we look for likes, we look for comments, and that is definitely what a human interest story should do. But now, just to answer your question, I would say yes and no. There's a time that I once posted a story that was of human interest, but there was no sufficient evidence for it, and it did a lot of damages to my brand. That story ended in a very bad way, but the court had to get involved, and I compensated whoever was involved in my story, and that was it.
Most of the cases of defamation we have had it's about people of high status.
Mhm.
When a journalist is trying to hold a government official accountable, they also try to ensure that their image is not damaged. Then how do we ensure your safety as a journalist to do investigations about the story?
Journalists should not fear sharing information about corrupt politicians and government officials if it is true and if they have evidence. But now, back to the safety. It is a question that cannot be summarized in a statement or in a sentence. We've had cases where journalists are murdered because they spoke the truth, or there was a story that they were trying to do, or they were involved in a story which was yet to be published. So I would advise that let journalists involve some bit of restraint. Some stories are not worth your life.
Lastly, is there how defamatory law limits a journalist to publish a story?
If professionalism is maintained in sharing of information, then you realize that both dignity, that is the dignity of the person involved, and then also the authenticity of the media house or of a journalist or whatever person, even bloggers, just these bloggers who maybe do not have the background knowledge in journalism, if they ensure that they follow these defamatory laws, they don't see it as a barrier, but just to regulate and control how information is published to the public. Thank you.
When defamation publication is presented before court, every single word is analyzed, and even how the public will understand the meaning. This forces journalists to bring down critical human interest stories to ensure fairness, avoiding defamation.